Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for our weekly office hours special edition. Today, we're going to be diving into, I think, one of the things that we're pretty excited about, which is the new product release of our new product, which is called FollowUp by, of course, AssetMule. For the folks out there, if this is your first time, my name is George Soto, one of the co-founders here at AssetMule, joined by my lovely and amazing brother from another mother and father, Dustin Dorfman. Yeah, I was going to say brother from another mother, but father too. And my representation of my dog that I miss, Arthur, who's living with my mom now. But, anyways, for the folks out there, if this is, again, your first time, we will go through a walkthrough of this new product and answer any questions you might have. I do want to say that we are officially launched on Product Hunt. So I'm going to drop in the link to the Product Hunt here. If you want to support us, add some comments and, whatever it is, like upvote, etc. If that's something that you feel compelled to do based on what you see, awesome. If not, no worries. Either way, really appreciate you tuning in. So I'll go ahead and post that link here in the comments so you can take a peek. And again, if you have any questions, comments, feedback about the product we're about to show you, just go ahead and put those in to the comments here on LinkedIn or YouTube, and we'll get to those. Now, real quick, before Justin jumps in, I want to say that as a salesperson, okay, as a former salesperson, I haven't carried a bag and a quota in a little while, but I'm going back to back as that salesperson, my experience, and I know that folks out there know how this is. You're going back to back meetings, and you are really struggling with doing good follow-ups, right? And who gets the follow-up? Well, the tier one account that's going to help you hit quota, and everybody else gets, like some, if they do even get a decent follow-up, they get, somewhat of a marginally good one, right? And so as we sat back, we were like, well, what do we do nowadays, right? Like nowadays, we used to call it inside sales, right, Justin? Now everything's basically inside sales. That's not even a thing anymore. It's just, part for the course. And even outside sales now have applications that will record and give you transcripts, right? And so as we sat back and we started to look at our existing customer base for our main product, AssetMule, we saw that the follow-up use cases were really, really one of the most popular, if not the most popular use case, right? And I know, Justin, you look at the data every hour on the hour. And so we sat back and we said, how can we make this easier? Because it's really easy, or it's much easier, I should say, for product marketers or us marketers tasked with sales enablement or creating these assets for sales to put these things together, et cetera, right? But oftentimes they're not really based on the conversation that the sales rep just had, right? So we were like, all right, well, how do we, within this world of personalization, how do we actually make an asset or create a way for a salesperson to make an asset that is actually based on that context and that recent conversation? So that was the first thing we thought through. The second thing is I'm a salesperson, right? And I get it, but salespeople, we're not great with actually using our tools, right? And that's just the way it is, right? And there's a lot of really valid reasons why. So we need better automation. We need these things built into our workflow. So that was the other thing we thought about, which was all right, well, how do we make this as easy as possible so a salesperson can just get off their gong or, chorus or whatever, Fathom call, grab the transcript and drop it into our tool, and then within seconds, a couple clicks, you got a nice personalized follow-up asset that you can use in your follow-up. So that's really some of the stuff that, from my perspective, we've been trying to solve for. So hopefully you'll see here. I'm going to pass the mic over to Justin to not only give you his take from someone who's ran product marketing and sales enablement, but also has worn multiple hats on the sales side. And then we're going to dive into a quick walkthrough of the product.
Yeah, and I'll just add one other piece to this, which is, so as you covered, George, salespeople kind of being stuck with generic assets to send as follow-up, or struggling with even sending follow-up with back-to-back meetings is definitely one side of the challenge. The other side is actually an opportunity, and that is champion enablement. In today's day and age, I think we've all heard the stats that 80+% of the sales process now happens without sales in the room. And I think there's 6+ decision makers or stakeholders involved in any purchasing decision. So now in this new world, your champion becomes more and more important than ever before. In fact, they're doing a lot of the selling internally for you. So sending a generic asset or sending a summary email with bullet points, text heavy, is no longer viable, right? You need to be able to give your champion something that is personalized, but also that's interactive, that showcases why you're the best solution and helps them tell that story to the rest of the buying committee. So as you'll see today, as George pointed out, we're making this really quick and easy, but we're also producing this asset that is, head and shoulders above your standard PDF that's generic and static. This is something that's personalized to every specific prospect and really showcases why you're the best solution for them. And with that goal of helping your champion, first of all, become a champion, right? Go from prospect to champion because you've built that level of trust and credibility with them, but also help them take that next step in making that case internally, which ultimately speeds up sales cycles and leads to more conversions, right? In terms of business won. So enough with that. Let's share the screen and we'll walk through the products. Alrighty, so let me hide this. So you should now see FollowUp by AssetMule on your screen. And as you'll see, this is actually our homepage. So for the product, so it's free to use. You can actually start for free. You get one asset you can generate per day for free. And then, if you like what you see it and you want to use this on a more active basis, it's $20 per month. And actually, we have a promo. So George, if you don't mind dropping the followup.assetmule.ai link as well in the chat, but also the PH follow-up, that's Product Hunt follow-up code for anybody that's interested in, signing up. With that code, you can get your first 3 months 50% off, so only be $10 a month for your first 3 months. But let's walk through the workflow here. So let's say I had a call today with Mike Jank over at StackPack, and I used Fathom to record this call. But again, it could be any call recording tool that provides you access to a transcript. Gong, Chorus, Zoom, I believe, has their transcript tool as well. And all you have to do is grab the transcript from your call and paste it into the box over here to get started. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a couple additional bits of information here, really just to help with the branding or the co-branding of the asset. So I'm putting in my email address and StackPack's domain, again, to grab the brand colors and the logos and really make this look professional and polished. And then this final step is actually optional, so you don't have to do this. But what I like to do is do a quick greeting video, 30 seconds or so, just thanking the prospect for their time and maybe talking through what's on the page. I also like to include a quick demo video in here as well, or this can be a interactive demo as well if you're using tools like Novatic or Storylane. And then finally, I like to include my calendar in here so it can be really easy for this prospect to schedule that next meeting with me, right from the asset. So that's all you have to do. And then you can go ahead and generate the follow-up asset. And as I mentioned, what's happening now is we're pulling all the branding, the colors, the logos to make this a nice, polished, on-brand, co-branded asset. But we're also using that call transcript to really highlight the core challenges that they're trying to solve, how our solution can specifically help them solve those challenges, and even pulling relevant media elements like images and videos and things like that, so that, again, that champion can really showcase, why you're the right solution for them. So this is what resulted from that process. And as you'll see at the very top, we've got it co-branded AssetMule and StackPack with the colors and the logos. We've got this nice personalized greeting section, calling the prospect out by name, but also with that video that I put in there. And now we go into the meat of it, right? With the core challenges that they shared on the call, that they're struggling with creating personalized sales assets quickly without a design team, and how, in the case, AssetMule can provide a library of templates and snippets that allow them to personalize at scale, and so on. And each section, we're pulling images from, in this case, from our website to try and provide an illustration, really bring those points to life. But we've also got that demo video here, right? So that they can see the product in action and, again, showcase it across their team. We've got some next steps here as well that were discussed on the call. And we've even pulled a relevant quote that provides some social proof, in this case, from Christopher Good over at Parsable. And then finally, at the bottom of the page, we've got the calendar, right? Again, so that they can book that next step meeting. And the idea here is within seconds, as you can see, to really try and get this 80 to 90% the way there. Some cases, it may be even 100% the way there. And you can go ahead and share this immediately. But if there is anything that you want to change, you can click on any section here and edit any of the text, or you'll see we even pull additional options in terms of images that you might want to swap in, or if you want to kind of choose a different logo or a different background color. We're making it super easy, just a click away for you to make any changes that you want. But then when you're ready, you can go ahead and grab the link to this page, share it with your prospect, over email or LinkedIn follow-up, however you want. And this is the live page that they're going to get, right? Where they can watch the video. They can check out all those core business props that you've outlined for them. Really the business case here. They can watch the demo video. And again, if they want to schedule that next meeting, which might be that next demo meeting with a broader team, they can do that right from here. But also they can grab this link and share it with everybody else on their team and really start making that case internally, really speeding up or fast tracking that purchasing decision. So that's the quick walkthrough here today. And I'm going to pause for any questions that you guys might have.
All right, awesome.
And if there aren't any questions, we can cover a couple of other things here, including where we're going with this, right? So this is clearly V1. As George mentioned, we launched on Product Hunt today, so we wanted to get something out quick and with the main features, but not overdoing it, right? And we'd love to hear your feedback either in the comments or DM us directly, or even comment on our Product Hunt page with any feedback that features that you want to see. But I'll kind of walk through a couple of things that we're thinking here. So the first is we want to really make sure that the output here is high quality. And what I mean by that is, let me share my screen again. I think AI does a pretty good job with text, right? So what we've heard so far is that challenges, solutions, next steps, even quotes are often very, very good. Where sometimes AI can have a little bit of trouble is maybe with branding and logos and images, and specifically matching those images to the text, especially when a website, which is where we're pulling this from right now, is limited. So we're thinking about ways to continue to improve this over time. So one way that we're thinking about doing this, and maybe going back to our product marketing and sales, being the bridge between product marketing and sales, right, is allowing for you, and again, this is not available yet today, but it's probably one of the next things that we're going to be working on, is allowing your marketing team or your product marketing team to start defining your brand guidelines more specifically, right? Which colors do you want to use for your brand? Which logo do you want to use? But also curating your library of images, demo videos, interactive demos, quotes, stats even, right? ROI stats that we can then pull from, right? Really to take this to the next level, both in terms of the quality, accuracy, and what we can pull into that. So that's kind of the number one thing that I think we'll be working on next. From there, the one of the things that our customers really love about AssetMule, so the core product that we have today, is that we can track as people view the pages and as they engage with the pages, and really give you those buying and intent signals. So that's not something that's available yet today in FollowUp by AssetMule, but you can imagine in the very near future, being able to see, oh yeah, my prospect viewed this, and then they shared it with their VP, and then that VP shared it with the CFO, and these folks checked out the video, and so on, and seeing what's happening behind the scenes when you're not in the room, right? So that's kind of another bucket of work that we're going to be working on pretty soon and integrating here. And then the final thing that I'll mention is we have a goal where we actually want to start integrating directly with these call transcript or call recording tools, right? So, if I go back to that first step here, where you copy and paste the transcript, imagine a world where you don't have to do that, right? You've integrated it, or you've hooked up your Gong or your Zoom or your Fathom directly with FollowUp by AssetMule. And now, right after your call, you get an email from AssetMule that says, or from FollowUp by AssetMule that says, hey, your follow-up asset is ready for you to review, make any changes that you want, and then send it to your prospect, right? Really like streamlining that process and meeting you where you are, right? So those are just 3 things that we're thinking about in terms of next steps. But again, would love to hear your feedback. What else would you like to see here? And again, I can go a little bit deeper here as well and share some other things that we're thinking about.
Awesome. Yeah, folks, if you do have any questions, comments, feedback, go ahead and add them to the comments section here, and we'll get to them. Justin, I think that there is a narrative that we've been talking about for years that's sort of unfolded throughout the generations of technology. And so I'm going to fast forward back to the 70s. And why I know this was, because I was really obsessed with the evolution of sales tech for many, many years, particularly when I was living in the Bay Area. And in the late 70s, you had IBM and other entrepreneurs like my buddy Michael McCafferty, who had Telemagic and these early CRM tools, right? The thesis at the time was like, I need a place to actually log all this sales activity, right? And organize and run reports and understand and all that, like writing on a piece of paper. And then the other solutions that were available at the time was just not good enough. Certainly not reportable, right? Easily, etc. And not to mention the fact that it it required human intervention in my time as a salesperson. So what happened? It rarely didn't happen, and I used a lot of instinct and etc., which is great, right? Like we do need soft skills and instinct and etc., even in today's AI robot world. That might be our differentiator, actually, right? We'll see. But then you started to see Siebel and Oracle and again IBM and all these other systems in the 80s start to innovate with some better systems. There was Goldmine, etc., right? These better CRM systems, and these were all client server on-prem software solutions, right? Which again, great step in the evolution of our space. But then we started to see the internet come on, right, in the 90s, and it hit an inflection point where we now had web-based software, right? So it was in the cloud. Then we had the cloud and all these other ways to do it. So it was easier, right, for us to access this information, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to today, 2025, which it really feels like some weird, bizarre Twilight Zone movie. But today, and I would say actually back up the last 10 years, we started to see an explosion of tools that were baked into our CRMs, right? So whether that was Salesforce and really pioneered by Salesforce cloud solutions, um, and in Microsoft, Dynamics, and a plethora of little like other tools, CRM tools out there that are really, really great, right? Pipedrive, et cetera, right? But there was one issue that kept happening. Although they were cloud based, although interfaces were better, although we started to have automations through Outreach, SalesLoft, Mix, Max, Yesware, yada, yada, there was still an issue, which was that I had to manually put in this data, right, into the CRM. And that's why the SalesLofts and the email tracking tools got, took off, right? Because now there was like automated ways of tracking the cadences or the sequences or the workflows from a salesperson. Great, right? And all the dialers and all that, great. But still not good enough, right? There were still parts of our workflow as a salesperson. Sure, emails were tracked, but there were still parts that were not automated, and they were falling through the cracks, right? And so, if you look at now 2025, where we still had, and for the folks out there who are thinking, whether you're a vendor or a product marketer or a sales leader, and you're thinking to yourself, oh boy, like, yeah, I still struggle with sales rep adoption of my tool and strategy, etc. We're now moving into a world which, through generative AI and LLMs and all that stuff, where like some very, very core, if not all parts of the sales motion could be automated, right? And so what we're tackling here is the idea that there should be the world of like, oh, the personalized collateral being sent to the prospect at certainly after the your call as a follow-up, but throughout the sales motion, that shouldn't happen anymore, right? Like it just shouldn't, not with the technology that we have available. And so that's what we're really focused on here. And so for the sales reps and leaders out there, every prospect should be treated like a tier one and get that white glove experience, right? And so, as Justin mentioned earlier, those buyer enablement sort of experiences, these buyer hubs, the digital sales rooms, all these sort of tools out there that are really, at the end of the day, needing to create better buying experiences for the prospect and the organization, right? And all the stakeholders and the buying committee, et cetera, involved in making decisions. That's what we're aiming for, right? And so this is now possible, and this is one of the things that we're really keen and focused on solving. So I'll get off my soapbox now, but like this is the way the evolution has happened and has moved, and we are now in a world where, hey, you know what? We don't even know if CRMs are going to exist in the same way that they are existing here today. And I think Mark Benioff and everybody knows that, right? And so at the end of the day, we can focus on what we're supposed to be doing as salespeople, and that is having one-to-one conversations and getting deals closed for our organization, but even more importantly, solving the problems of our prospect. And if we're sitting there trying to like click on stuff and enter data into a CRM and find, a collateral that makes sense, etc., we're not doing that if we even, have the time to do it. So I'll get off my soapbox for real right now. That's what I think we're doing here, and it's exciting.
Yeah, the thing that I always think about is this personalization at scale. You said it, like every customer now has or should be getting that personalized experience, right? I've heard in the past a lot of people sort of criticize that term personalization at scale. And I have to be transparent as well. Like in a previous world that we used to live in, also, was very cautious around personalization at scale. But I think what AI, and specifically, let's use ChatGPT as an example, right? I think the last time I looked, they have 400 million weekly active users, right? Every single one of those users has a unique experience when they use ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT has unique context about the conversations they've had and the information they've fed them, that no two instance is going to be the same. And every single one of them is getting a unique experience. I think that's proof that with AI, personalization at mass scale is now possible. And in our case here, when we say personalization at scale, I think those that are sort of maybe a little critical of that phrasing are thinking about the last world where some of these outreach tools, right? You would have the pull in their name and maybe their company as what are they like dynamic variables, right? But everything else is the same, right? And in the case of an asset, you can think about it the same way. Maybe it pulls in their logo and their company name, but everything else is the same. As you can see from what we just showed you, that's no longer the case, right? This is truly personalization at scale, where the actual content on that page, the challenges that are talked about, the solution to those challenges, the images that are pulled in, right? The customer quotes, right? Not just the logo and the company name, but the actual content of the asset is completely personalized for every single prospect that this is being sent to. And that's just an example of the bar that's being set here now when it comes to sales assets and what soon your prospects are going to be expecting, right? If you're sending them that generic PDF that doesn't even have their logo on it, or if you're sending them that deck that does have their logo on it, but it's the same slides, it may be in a different order, but like the same slides that everybody else is getting that doesn't speak specifically to the problem, and your competitor is sending them a page like this that speaks specifically to the conversation that had today minutes ago, you can imagine what sort of pressure you're going to be under to be able to compete with that. So this is a new world, and we're excited to be paving the way forward and helping bridge the gap between where you're at today to this new world.
Awesome. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much to everyone. Justin, I wish I can give you a hug right now, but I guess I can't.
I was thinking, we did last June, right? We did a offsite. We should have done it during the product hunt launch. Like, it's the obvious time to do it. We're, up at 12:01 here, you're at 3:01. We could have all been up at the same time somewhere.
Yeah.
But we'll have to do it, sometime soon.
Well, what's interesting is that we were doing our offsite a year ago at this time.
Right, this time, yeah.
Yeah, it's because the Florida Panthers won the championship again.
That's right.
Right, the Stanley Cup. They won it last night.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But anyways, yeah, back to back. Shout out to the Florida Panthers and everyone who's a hockey fan here. I'm getting into it, so I'm I'm clearly a bandwagon fan here. But in any case, thank you so much to everyone who's tuned in here today. I saw there were a couple folks tuned in. Again, if you're excited about what we've been talking about, you can go to followup.assetmule.ai, kick the tires on it. You can use it for free once a day. But also there is a promo code here that you can use that I posted in the comments in case you feel like there's value and you want to pay for it and use it. Also, if you felt compelled and want to support us on Product Hunt, you'll also see the Product Hunt link here to go ahead and access, and you can support us in any way that you want on that page. We'd certainly appreciate it. And if you are also interested in more content and insights and so on, go ahead and click on the follow button. It's an exciting time to be in this space, and we're sharing content about all kinds of stuff related to go-to-market, product marketing, and sales. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.